Today on DNVR Buffs Live, where exactly does Colorado have the advantage over Baylor? And just how good are these Baylor Bears? Let's jump in. Let's go.
Welcome into the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. It's DNVR Buffs Prime Time. It's Wednesday. It's kind of turning into our scouting day.
Hump day.
Let's talk about Baylor. We'll get into what Coach Flea said after practice, an update on the running back room. Then we had LaJohntay and Carter Stoutmire talk after practice as well. But today we do start with the Baylor Bears. You and I went back, watched the Week 3 and Week 2 game, Air Force and Utah. They played Tarleton State Week 1. They won 45-3. Not much you can really take from that. Let's start with the Utah game, though, because I think that was their most formidable opponent so far. And I think you kind of saw what Baylor is, basically, in that game.
Yeah, man. In the end, I think who this team is revolves around what quarterback they're going to play.
Yep.
I have to imagine that they're going to play the kid
Sawyer Robertson
that they played last week because they ended up winning the game. But did they bench Finn, or was he injured? Because
No.
when I watched the Air Force game, it sounded like he was injured.
He is hurt, I believe. I watched most of the Baylor game. He was in there, or the Utah game. He was in there pretty much till the end. So I don't know what exactly happened to him, but it does sound like there's a little bit of a quarterback controversy brewing right now for them.
Okay, cool. Well, from that game, you learn that Finn has a cannon, but it is a loose cannon.
Yes.
He can really throw that thing, but it was kind of spraying it around. And so, personally, I think I would rather face Robertson, having watched both of those two games, because he's a little bit more predictable.
Okay.
Because Finn is really, really athletic and fast, and also can stretch you down the field, even though he hasn't shown to be too accurate doing that. But I came away kind of thinking I'd rather face Robertson. To me, he's similar to the quarterback the Buffs faced last week.
Yeah. I was thinking I'd rather face Finn, honestly. As you mentioned, loose cannon, I think, is a compliment. He really struggled against Utah. He was 9 of 21 for 115 yards. He did have a touchdown pass, no turnovers. Obviously, he can run the ball, and that's kind of what their offense was built around when he was in. It's a lot of RPOs. They ran speed option like 5 times against Utah. They allow him to move around, and with this offensive line, which I'm sure we'll touch on, which I don't think is very good, I think having a more mobile quarterback back there will give them some more, but it also would pressure him into more mistakes, a la last week when you saw BFN out on the edge running around.
Yeah. Either way, they really struggled in that Utah game. The score in the third quarter when Cam Rising went out was 23-0.
Mm-hmm. To 3. They actually hit a field goal at the end.
I think it was 23-0 when Rising went out.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So when Rising went out, it's 23-0. And, I mean, they never threatened. They really never threatened in that game. In the end, what did it end up being, 23-12?
23-12, yep.
So it ends up being 23-12, but that makes it seem a lot closer than it was. I don't think there was a false breath from Utah really at any point in the game. Also, I never saw the play that Cam Rising got hurt on. That was wild.
Yeah, I was kind of looking for it too. I did notice one play where he got hit and he starts looking at his hands.
The one where he got thrown into the...
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I hadn't seen that until this.
Yeah.
He gets thrown into like the Gatorade thing.
Yeah.
And he comes up looking at his hand. That has to be when it happened. But it was like, that was a kind of a crazy play that he got tossed into the Gatorade
It really
shelf.
was.
One other thing that I noticed in both games, and I think this is important to note if this does become a close football game, Baylor has a really good kicker and an even better punter. And I think they actually lead the country in punt yardage, net punting. So they're going to be able to flip the field on you. This guy hits like low missiles that are really hard to field, like directional missiles. And then they've got a lefty kicker who hit from 50 plus multiple times in the games that I watched.
Yeah, so their punter averaged, this is against Utah, averaged 62.7 yards per punt, had a 79-yarder, and had 6 50-plus yarders.
I'm telling you, dude, this guy hits absolute bombs.
Yep.
I can't remember. I watched them both back to back, so I can't remember which game I'm watching. But one of them, he hits a punt, and like you can see the announcer like counting the yardage in his head. He's like, that's a 75-yard punt. Yeah. He's just like his mind's blown. So that guy can absolutely crush it, and he's accurate with it. So something to keep in mind. And that seems like nothing, but sometimes you leave a game and you're like, wow, we had bad field position on almost every drive that really affected us. So
right.
That's a kind of a weapon that they have in their arsenal.
For sure. Sticking with the offense, I guess, they rely on their speed a lot. It's a lot of RPOs from the wide receivers. That was where the touchdown came from against Utah, was they had a screen kind of break late in the game. He kind of weaved through the whole defense from like 7 yards out, I think it was. So you'll see a lot of screens. They run a lot of counter, power, GT power, like Oklahoma used to do with Baker and those guys, pulling the guard and the tackle, really trying to get downhill. Split zone, some insert runs with the tight end. If Finn is in the game, though, it's 11 on 11. It's a kind of like playing Cam Miller at North Dakota State. He's going to run the football.
Yeah, that's not fun for me. I don't like that. Now, I think the answer to both questions is stop the run, win the football game. I really do think it's that simple.
Yes.
But stopping the run is harder when Finn is out there. And that's why I'm hoping it's Robertson.
Well, in the first half against Utah, Baylor only had 48 total yards and had 19 rushes for 19 yards, 0 for 7 on third down.
Wow.
And this defense,
as
we've seen, this defense has been lights out so far.
I know.
Baylor's also really struggled to get off to fast starts. The halftime against Air Force, it was 6-3. They were leading. Obviously, against Utah, they were getting their asses whooped up until Cam got hurt. So that's been something, I think, from this team, from Colorado, that they've struggled with, is going back to last year, starting off hot, right?
Yep.
It's really just been the TCU game that they came out firing out the gates on offense. But if the defense is able to start hot and hold Baylor to, a bad first half like they have been the last 2 weeks, the game could be over by halftime.
It has a chance, man. And King Mar said Robertson runs too. He does, but every college quarterback runs at this day and age.
He's not going to beat many defenders around the edge.
No, and Finn,
yes,
is legitimately fast.
Yes,
like dangerous fast. Couple stats here.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Oh, great! This covered up my.
You're the stats guy now, huh?
Yeah,
taking my job.
I've got a couple stats that just kind of show you. They are about 80th in the country in sacks allowed, with 5 sacks allowed. They are, where's the number? 96th in the country in tackles for loss allowed, with 15. And last one here, their passing offense is 80th in the country.
Yep.
So, talking about places where there's a little bit of an advantage, I think the CU defensive line against the Baylor offensive line is advantage CU. And I also think that the CU corners and secondary versus the Baylor receivers is advantage CU. You mentioned those kind of quick game, quick screens, all that stuff. they're going to get opportunities in that. CU's done a really good job of rallying to the football in those situations this year. But other than that, those guys do not create a lot of separation just on their own.
Yeah.
And neither quarterback, to me, has shown a great ability to throw the ball into tight windows.
Yes.
Robertson, that's his last name, right?
Yep.
It's Robert, not Robin.
Yes. Yep.
He basically, a lot of his completions were just taking the easy stuff against a soft cover 3 zone that Air Force is running. It's just like out route, like from the slot over and over. So I think this is actually going to be a game where CU mans up a lot and dares these quarterbacks to make a big throw.
I agree. Robertson is more comfortable throwing downfield, though, I'd say. He's more confident, at least, in his ability to kind of test some tighter windows. He's not like a world beater, Aaron Rodgers zipping by like the linebacker's ear hole and stuff. But he is better than Finn in that department. I noticed they rotated their left tackle in and out against Utah. And we know Utah's very good up front. They always are under Kyle Whittingham. And they were giving them issues. Both tackles were getting beat quite often. They were having a chip on the right side pretty often as well. So I'm expecting a big game from the edge rushers, man. They've been able to get TFLs and, create some pressure. But I think it's finally time to get some sack production this week.
Absolutely. I mean, this is what I always talk about with sacks, though, is like it's not really up to you if you get sacks.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That sacks are an offensive stat more than anything, in my opinion.
Yep.
And I've been really impressed with the pressure so far from CU. Mm-hmm. So keep the pressure up.
Defensively, this is a very zone-heavy team. They will play some man. So, again, kind of like North Dakota State. It's cover 2, cover 3 quarters, even some drop 8 coverages. I mean, it's clear they're not really confident in the secondary's ability to match up one-on-one. So we know how Shedeur is. It might take him a quarter, maybe even a half to kind of figure out exactly what's going on. But he will figure you out, and he will start to dice you up eventually. Go ahead.
I mean, you really, if you can't get easy pressure on him, then you can't really play zone. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't really play anything against him. Eventually, you're right. Eventually, he's going to figure it out. And I don't think that Baylor necessarily has the guys to create heavy pressure.
I don't either, but this is a well-coached defense. They get to the ball. They swarm run plays. I was particularly impressed by the edges, how they played the run. The linebackers and the safeties get downhill quickly, too. They're well-coached. Dave Aranda's a great defensive coach. You don't often see them, out of position, giving up super big plays. So it's going to need to be well-sustained, successful drives for Colorado, I think, to score consistently on Saturday.
I think so too. And you're right. They are well coached. It's hard to know what they can do in the passing game whatsoever because no one has tried throwing it on them except for Cam Rising a little bit. I think he threw 14 passes in that game. He was 8 for 14 for like 92 yards and a touchdown, maybe.
2 touchdowns.
2 touchdowns.
Almost had it all.
Yeah, I've looked at it enough. That being said, though, like that's a whole different passing game that's coming off of play action type of stuff. So I have no idea. They have 4 sacks on the season, which actually kind of surprised me considering that's 4 sacks and 50 dropbacks that they've faced. But it's just so hard to tell, and I didn't actually look up to see where those sacks came from. They might have all come against Tarleton State for all I know.
Yeah. I can check here in a bit. What this game boils down to for me, honestly, at least when it's Colorado's offense versus Baylor's defense, you got to win one-on-one. I totally trust the receivers to win one-on-one, but offensive line has to win one-on-one matchups. They did a great job getting into the pistol and kind of fleshing out that part of the offense last week. We need to see more of it, I think. It'd be massive to get Dallan back. We're about to get into the running back room here. But you got to be successful running the ball. You got to break tackles. You got to win one-on-one across the board.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get more complicated with it, but to me, it all comes down to that run game on the other side. If you can stop that run at a consistent rate, I don't think that Baylor's going to be able to score enough points to win.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or really even close.
I agree. All right, let's hit a break.
Well, and real quick.
Yeah.
I feel like Baylor, the Baylor people that I've been seeing clips of are like talking really spicy.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have that energy anymore. We've already done that for 2 straight weeks.
No.
But I will say this. I think Colorado has a chance to win this game convincingly.
For me, it's just win. I just want to see a win. I don't care how it happens.
You're like me last week.
Yeah, we can break it down after the fact and talk about what was great, what needs to improve. I just want to see a win on Saturday. But, yeah, it'd be great to, go out and do what they did last week, win a game by 3+ possessions.
And to me, this is like it's not this, but like it's a there it is. It's a narrative game for the defense.
Mm-hmm.
I truly think that this defense could be considered to be one of the better defenses in the conference coming out of this game.
Love it.
They're not getting a lot of credit for the fact that they've given up, 9 points over the last 6 quarters, and they've given up 12 points total in second halves this season.
Yep.
For whatever reason, no one's talking about that. But they played a complete game last week and shut down an offense. Really never gave them an opportunity to breathe the whole game. And if they go out and do it again this week, I think it completely shifts the narrative about Colorado. And people start saying, like, well, if this team could be a defensive-led team and they still have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter on the offensive side of the ball, like, how far can they go?
Yep.
And so this, to me, like a really big opportunity for the defense to go out there and make a statement.
I agree. Let's take our first break and shout out our friends over at Empire Today. They redid this wonderful studio floor here in the Toyota Lounge. It looks fantastic, and it's built to last. It's passing the DNVR test so far.
Oh yeah, that's a big test.
It is. I mean, we're moving chairs and all this stuff on and off the sets for each show, and this floor just continues to look remarkable. You can hit them up and schedule a free in-home estimate today. And listen to this. You can receive a $350 off discount when you use the promo code DNVR. Some restrictions apply. But check out our friends at empiretoday.com/DNVR for details. And then Sleeper.
I know.
Okay.
Shout out to our friends over at Sleeper. We already know they're the best in the game when it comes to fantasy football. Your boy's off to a 2-0 start over at Sleeper.
Can I vent real quick?
Sure.
I lost Isaiah Pacheco and Cooper Kupp in like a span of 3 hours. That was
tough.
Brutal.
That is tough.
Yeah.
I'm off to a 2-0 start. I have no quarterbacks on my team, but one of the nastiest wide receiver and running back assaults you've ever seen. So feeling good about my boys over at Sleeper. But even better than that is you don't have to wait all season to make money at Sleeper because you can do Sleeper picks, which is so fun. And you can get in on it in 25 different states where you can pick, will Shedeur have more or less than 300 and something passing yards? Will Travis Hunter have more or less? Last week it was 98.5 receiving yards, and Coach Prime made sure he got those extra 8, which is crazy. So he ended up getting the more, hitting the more. But you can combine your picks of what you think is going to happen in the game and get a big multiplier on your money, which is really fun. So check out Sleeper Picks and use the code BUFFS, BUFFS, to get up to a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operation in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today.
Before we get to the running back room, I don't know if you want to do specific players, but like position groups that you think Colorado holds like a substantial edge over Baylor for this weekend.
Okay. I want to say Colorado's receivers over their corners. We haven't seen enough from their defense to know who they are, but I'll just pretty much say that every week.
That, yes.
Kansas might challenge them with their secondary. Colorado's defensive line versus Baylor's offensive line. And Colorado's secondary versus Baylor's wide receivers.
I'm the same. I got to throw out the linebackers, too. They've been balling, and I expect that high level of play to continue going into this week. And that's going to be big in stopping the run, too. But you said it, the secondary for me. If Baylor is forced into throwing the football early and often to try and create big plays, sustain drives, and get points on the board, it's going to be, I think, a long day for them.
Yeah.
To the running back room, we talked to Coach Flea today. This whole thing is up on our YouTube channel if you want to check out the entire press conference. Coach Flea, as always, shared a lot of information. And as you guys all know, the running back room is a little bit in flux right now. I mean, it popped last week finally, right? You know, you got Micah, you got Isaiah. We'll see on Dallan. We have Coach talking about that as well. But who do you think starts, real quick? Who do you think starts?
Micah.
Or is that not even factoring in Dallan?
I think that Dallan will be a game time decision.
Okay.
And I think that he suits up. But it's kind of like a need only type of suits up.
I just asked that because I thought it was interesting that Isaiah technically got the start last week.
And I kind of want to see what happens if Isaiah. How many carries did he have in the game last week?
I don't think very much.
7 or
I think
8?
4 or 5.
Okay, I want to see what happens if Isaiah gets 10 carries.
Okay.
Just because I think he has big playability.
He does.
And he kind of, I don't know, man. I like the way he runs the football.
I'm finding this right now.
He like runs kind of upright, but then he's powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, he's absolutely, what's that dude's name? Howell? Sam Howell or something? Bounced him off the turf.
Jack Howell.
There you go.
Yeah. Sam Howell plays quarterback.
For who?
Seattle now, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Isaiah had 6 rushes for 31 yards, and he had 1 reception for 14 yards, so 7 touches last week.
7 touches for 45 yards.
Yep.
That'll do. Yeah, I'm kind of excited about his potential. So I'd like to see what happens. I mean, it's crazy to me that Micah didn't even get 10 carries, and we kind of felt like the running game was like established.
Bro, we'll get to the press conference clips, but to me, the recipe for this team to win is TCU. And in that game, it was a lot of the same. I think it was 4 or 5 to 1 to pass to rush like ratio. They didn't rush for very much. It was like 80 to 90 yards, but those runs were effective. They had a goal line punch in with Savion Wilkerson at the goal line. Like, they just showed that they could run when they had to, basically.
Yeah. I would kill to see a draw play. Kill. There's no team in the country better suited to run a draw play.
That is true. Very true. All right, let's get to the clip. Since we were on him, let's hear from Coach Flea about what he saw from Isaiah last week and his role moving forward.
Some tough running. You know, he came in. We want to see Isaiah clean up his footwork, get downhill, use his size, play a little bit lower with pad levels. And he kind of showed that, protection-wise, he's able to pick up the right guy and strain and finish. He messed up on one protection, but, we'll get that corrected. And then that's one thing as far as ball security that we're big on. We do turnover drills every single day. And that's our rule. You put the ball on the ground, you're coming out. But we're going to stay with him. He was mentally tough. He didn't let it affect him. And he had a great week, not a week, but a couple of days of practice leading to this game. So he'll still be included to the game plan. So a lot of toughness that we've seen as far as his size and the physicality that we're looking for from Isaiah.
It's just the rule. Put the ball on the ground, you're coming out.
Yeah. That's how it always was when I played too.
Yep. Trial by fire, I think, honestly.
Yeah. What's tough about that one is, one, it stopped us from being able to run up the score.
Yes.
Because they were going to go score on that drive after that, and they were going to be in enemy territory.
It was a massive gain. It was a 14-yard gain.
It was. And it was a sick play where he caught it and kind of waited for the defense to go and found his hole and hit it. But that's such a bad time to fumble. Mm-hmm. It's just you don't need to be fighting for extra yards or anything like that. Just, I know that's how you're cut out and the way that you're wired. But you got to just think in that moment, the only thing I can't do here is put the ball on the ground.
Yep. Coach Flea, of course, was asked about Micah as well. As you all know, he's been a big topic since last Saturday's game. Here's how Coach felt about his performance against the Rams.
Micah came in with a very serious attitude. He wanted to contribute right away, and I think that helps. And I think it's a case of when, preparation meets opportunity, and he prepared himself for that moment. When his moment came, he was able to perform. I think we do a good job around here to make sure that guys are able to execute. It's not all about potential, it's about production when it comes to film watching, when it comes to your practice habits, things of that nature. And we felt like it was time for him to go out and showcase. Sometimes you get injuries like with Dallan and you force into that situation. We have a great group of guys we feel like by committee that can get it done.
He wasn't surprised, and I don't think we were surprised by what we saw from Micah. Just saying, very serious attitude, wanted to contribute right away, and this was just his time.
I love Micah.
He's awesome, huh?
Just runs so hard, plays so hard. He's got an attitude about him, a good attitude. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for his career.
I'd encourage you guys again to go to thednvr.com. Check out the article I wrote talking to Coach Hicks about Micah. You can learn a lot about why Micah is the way he is pretty much from that article, and just his attitude and the recruiting and all that stuff. It's great. Check it out. And then finally, Coach Flea gave an update on Dallan Hayden, how he's doing, and when we could potentially see him next.
You know, I talked to Dallan just to keep him focused. He did a great job along with the trainers and the strict conditioning department as far as getting to where he is right now. You know, with a high ankle sprain, you know, sometimes it's tricky. You never know. He looks good as far as his drills, his workouts. So we kind of scaled back early part of this week, but he's going to be included going forward as far as getting his reps. He's done a great job as far as mentally understanding the information, what he needs to get done. So now we're just going out there. We don't want to push him too fast. You know, like I said, we want to make sure that we go about it the right way as far as safety with that ankle sprain, you know, being able to be in a situation, get out of the situation based with his footwork. So we'll see more of that tomorrow. But these past couple of days have been real soft with him as far as making sure that physically and mentally that he's ready to get out there and practice. So we got other guys to get it done, but you know, Dallas is a great runner. So in order to have a sustained run game, he has to be involved.
So it's a high ankle sprain. Those injuries can be a bitch, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everyone heals from it differently, but it's one of those ones that it's probably not going to feel good until after the season when he rests it for a month.
Yep.
Or maybe even more.
But as Coach said, it sounded like Dallan practice today. I didn't watch well off yet, but they're taking it easy on him. He's, as Coach said, mentally and physically. We'll see tomorrow, I guess. I think tomorrow might be, it's really kind of the last day of practice, too.
Yeah.
So that'll be the day the coaches and the team find out really if they're confident enough in Dallan and his health right now to throw him out there on Saturday.
Well, and you can wrap it up and shoot it up.
Right.
And you can play. Mm-hmm. But the question is, like, do you feel powerful cutting off of it?
Yeah. That's
more important than anything is, like, are you getting actual drive off of that foot, or is it still kind of weak and sore?
Right.
And that's the question you have to answer.
So just with all that, with what Coach Flea said, my big takeaway for this running back room for Saturday is, it feels like Dallan could suit up. I wouldn't expect him to be the starter or the main running back this week. And I think that they'll try and take it easy on him and play it smart, I think, with him just for the long term of the season.
Agreed.
I think Micah starts.
Yep, me too.
I think that Micah gets the workload. He talked about it yesterday. We showed it on the show, but Shedeur's been a big help to him in terms of fully grasping and learning the protections, the offense. And Shedeur was really active at the line of scrimmage on Saturday, too, letting everyone know what was going on. So I'd feel fine with Micah back there. And honestly, I'd love to see him set the tone from the first drive. Give him 2 or 3 carries on that first drive.
That reminds me also, like, getting back to running a draw. Have Shedeur run out to a wide receiver, act like he's telling him the route, lean over to Micah, point out the protection, all that, and then draw.
Yep.
Set it up.
I do think that we're still in like the kind of the baby stages of seeing this running game fully blossom. Like, I'd expect it to be a little bit more built upon from last Saturday.
Be huge.
But this is just a kind of thing that'll take time. Like, you know, we look, what's today? We look on October 18th as opposed to today, September 18th, and it might be a completely different looking run game in that time. So getting Dallan back, of course, will be huge in that as well.
Yep.
So we're just kind of wait and see. But Coach Flea said it. They've got some great runners, and I think they feel good with what they have.
Well, and to this coaching staff's credit, and you know, specifically Pat Shurmur, I think, I was pounding the table last week saying, run the ball out of pistol. It worked.
Yeah.
They averaged over 7 yards per carry running it out of pistol against Nebraska in a small sample size. But then they went out there and they added to their package of pistol runs, and they were successful again.
Yep.
And so what do? You go back and you just keep adding. I mean, build a package. You can go pistol and have Savell line up in the backfield next to Shedeur. You can just keep building on this. You've got a lot of options and ways to get creative with running the football out of pistol. Let's get a counter going.
Yep.
All sorts of stuff.
And I saw someone mention in the chat, Air Force was kind of running around them early with some trick plays, reversing the field on them and end around type stuff. Like, there was some of that. I wouldn't be upset to see one or two of those plays.
Bro, the end of that first half was such a mess.
Against Air Force?
Yes. So Baylor, what happened? Baylor fumbles it, gives it back to Air Force. Air Force punts, gives it back to Baylor. This is all within the last 2 minutes. Baylor's trying to go down again, fumbles again. Mm-hmm. Air Force comes back, fumbles it back to Baylor, and then Baylor goes down and gets a field goal to go up 6-3 at half. Baylor fumbled the ball twice in the last 2 minutes and ended up being the one who scored out of those two teams. They probably should have been losing that game at halftime 6-3.
Yep.
And speaking of good kickers, Air Force does not have one.
No, that's for sure. Baylor did not turn the ball over, though, against Utah. So we'll see. Obviously, they're a little prone to it on their side of the ball, running the football, the running backs. But we'll see. It's time for CU to get some turnovers, I think, too.
By the way, Coach Pollock told us on the show last week that they studied North Dakota State and Nebraska's run game after they played them. I would love if they also took that Wildcat package out of CSU's playbook. I mean, that's the one play they busted the whole game was counter out of Wildcat.
Do you put Travis at Wildcat quarterback?
No. I'm not subjecting Travis to more hits between the hashes than he needs to.
But he could throw the football.
He can. Give me Draylon in the Wildcat.
Okay.
Or even Micah.
Shout out to our friends over at Coors Light. When it's time to chill, Coors Light is the beer to reach for. We'll be chilling here at the DNVR bar. Lots of stuff going on, obviously, a football season, but we got lots of events too, so check those out. And we'll be chilling at the tailgate on Saturday with some Coors Light.
Big tailgate.
Yep.
Big tailgate coming up this weekend. You guys are going to get to see something really cool if you come to the tailgate. By the way, I'm going to tweet this out as well. Mm-hmm. If you see us in Boulder tomorrow, you didn't see us. Okay? And if you see us, you'll know exactly why I'm saying this.
I think we have an understanding with chat, right?
Yes, exactly.
Come on, chat. But make the most out of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get it delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Also, a shout out to our friends at Circle K. The best. Circle K is fueling our road trips this season. Not just literally with fuel, but figuratively with snacks. We are going to become like experts of what is offered at Circle K before the end of this. But like last week, we discovered that Circle K has fire breakfast burritos.
Really good breakfast burritos.
Like I'm actually looking forward to the next trip just for one of those.
Yep. So
shout out to Circle K. They've got good food. They've got great snacks. They've got good, the best gas, if that's possible, but also the cheapest because you can become an Inner Circle rewards member and get discounts on all of the great stuff over at Circle K. So download the Circle K app and sign up for the Inner Circle for exclusive offers, new offers, purchase clubs, and sweepstakes are uploaded weekly.
Shout out Circle K. They keep us rolling. Players also spoke after practice today. We heard from... Has Carter done a press conference before? This is his first time?
I think this is his first.
So Carter Stoutmire for what we think was his first time on the podium. LaJohntay also got back up there today. Carter was great, though, man, and I'm just super excited for him. I think I mentioned this recently, but it's kind of like Cam last year, right? You know, with Shiloh's injury, Carter gets forced into action, didn't play early, but it's almost like you got to find a role for him at this point with how well he's played so far.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of what happened a little bit with Rod Ward last year, remember?
Yep, that's true.
He came in for Shiloh after the Oregon game, and he was flying around. And I remember Coach Prime in the one of the meetings, like after that game, just being like, "We got to find a way for this guy to be on the field because he got his opportunity and he balled out."
Yep.
And Carter, I think, is the same way. Maybe you can use him in kind of that star position, or vice versa. You could use Shiloh in that position, and use Carter back there, whatever the coaching staff prefers. But you can get creative trying to get your best 11 players on the field in a given situation.
So here's Carter speaking about the change over to safety and just what it's been like for him balancing learning both corner and safety for the Buffs.
It's a lot different just being at corner. You're not used to being in the box as much and seeing all that action. So it's a big adjustment, but it's been fun though, just being able to be versatile, being able to play in multiple positions and stuff like that.
Playing safety, you have a pretty good mentor in your father who played in the NFL at safety. What have those conversations been like with him?
Oh, it's been really good. He's always critiquing me on like the small things, just stuff that like I really don't really use much at corner. I use more at safety. So just being able to have him just to call him whenever I have a question and stuff like that. Also, Shallow and Cam, they've always been good mentors to me as well. Yes, sir.
I wanted to include that end part because I think that's an underrated aspect about this. Carter's dad played safety. Like, what better resource to learn from? You have Coach Prime coaching you how to be the best corner you can be, and then if you want to play safety, you got good old dad who played it at a high level in the NFL that you can lean on too.
Yep. And you've got Robert Livingston, who's coached some of the best safeties in the NFL currently.
Yep. Speaking of Coach Livingston, Carter spoke about just what it's like playing for him and also a little bit on the celebration from last Saturday.
He's great, he's a great guy. You could tell he's a real NFL coach, He's just a lot more laid back, not like the typical college coach that you'd get, Livingston. He's a good dude, though. I really like his scheme, a whole lot of man stuff. So, dudes on the outside's got to eat, pass rushers got to get home. So that's how it should be, I think. Yep.
He's a younger guy.
Yeah.
Is there a relatability factor that comes with him that you might not
Most
find
definitely.
with other coaches?
It's funny, the other day when we did the celebration game, we all got the flag for us, here. We got to do 5 gases for each flag that we get. Coach Livingston, he ran the gases with us, so I thought that was really cool for him because it was his idea, money on the flow. That's his thing. So I thought it was really cool for him to run with us. Yes, sir.
Coach Liv gaining street cred
100%.
quickly.
Yes. Absolutely, man.
You could have given me a million guesses on whose idea that was. I would have never come to Coach Liv.
I know. I love it, though, man. I absolutely love it. And it's just something that we've heard about a lot recently. It's the players, I think, really feed off Coach Livingston. Obviously, a younger guy. He's going to be energetic. He's not out of the game too long. I think he was playing college football like 10 to 12 years ago. Like, this is just a great coach for this team. And just his versatility, his track record, and his relatability it's paying dividends already.
Yeah, man. They love him, and he loves them. It's a beautiful thing. And Coach Prime loves him, too.
Yep. LaJohntay on the podium. He was good. Again, all these are on our YouTube channel if you want to go check them out. But one of the moments you tweeted it out, and it went crazy. Like
Which one?
Everything. Exactly. RK's hacked the algorithm. He is the algorithm.
I
now.
need more content to post because everything I post goes to the moon right now. I've literally had 1 million view tweets in the last 48 hours.
You can do the traditional aggregator thing. Quote tweet your Jalen tweet or Jalen and LaJohntay tweet with this answer.
Quote. Oh
yes.
yeah, that's the Dov Kleiman school of
exactly.
tweeting. But yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm learning a lot based on the engagement that I've got on Twitter recently.
Good for you, man. But here's LaJohntay talking about that pregame moment with his brother, Jalen, and where that goes back to.
Man, that's just something that we do since we started playing together, especially at FAU. We playing on the same team. We have strong faith in God, so we make sure we give it up to him, to make sure he cover us and give us the power, the strength, the knowledge to be able to get through the game, and be able to become victorious.
I love it, man.
Yeah, we've talked about the brothers on this team. How many sets are we at? 7?
5
right?
for 6. 6.
I don't know. We've lost count at this point.
Yep.
But it's just cool because another thing that I think just helps permeate through the culture. I know culture is a big word out there about this team right now.
No, absolutely. And like a bunch of idiots are in the mentions of that viral tweet.
Yep.
Saying like staged, like classic. No surprise there was cameras around here. And like as he said there, and as multiple people have mentioned to me in that tweet, is they've been doing this since FAU, and it was mentioned on the show yesterday.
Yep.
It's a beautiful thing. I mean, Louise sent us the the prayer that they did week 1. But that one, man, just watching LaJohntay like hype his little brother up just really fired me up. Made me wish I had a little brother.
Shout out to my little brother. He helped me out today.
Hell yeah.
Love you, Austin. LaJohntay, and this is another thing that's kind of a big topic right now. Shedeur's leadership. So, I just asked LaJohntay, what have you seen from Shedeur as a leader since you've arrived to Colorado? This is what he had to say.
Oh, man. His IQ level is on another level. I mean, he done brought my game from here to here. You know, he just keep elevating the guys around him. You know, he want the best for you, not only for you, but for himself, too. So he going to push you. He gonna push those buttons that the coaches or other players not going to push, you know, because he know what you can do. He know your potential. So, I mean, that guy is just like another coach on the field, man.
Straight from the source.
There you go.
Of course, it's not going to blow up. I mean, I'm not criticizing Shedeur. LaJohntay's not doing it, so it's not going to go crazy viral or anything. But straight from a player who Shedeur really is kind of credited with bringing here, recruiting him, that's what he's experienced under Shedeur's leadership.
I've been around all sorts of different players and leaders and guys in football, you know, like Peyton Manning. Philip Lindsay, to me, was one of the best leaders I ever saw. Nate Landman at Colorado. You know, Von Miller was a captain when I was covering him with the Broncos. Each guy has their different style. For Phil, it was the hair on fire, scream and yell, pushing guys in the chest, getting them riled up.
Yep.
You know, Sefo Lufau was kind of like a lead almost by toughness thing, which I see that from Shedeur as well. But in terms of college football players that I've been around and leadership from a X's and O's football IQ, helping your guys understand what's actually happening and what's up, Shedeur is right up there at the top, if not the top. Now, obviously, Peyton Manning, who I covered with the Broncos, is the best I've ever seen when it comes to that. And he was almost at a level where it was like, you have no choice but to figure this out or else you just won't play.
Right.
Whereas, like, Shedeur is, I mean, just go watch the game last week. He's running out to the edges of the field, making sure his wide receivers know exactly what's happening, what's going on. He's in there, you know, working with the guys off the iPad, showing them like we saw with Micah. He's every day in practice coming off to the sideline and saying, hey, you ran that at 11. I absolutely need it at 12.
Yep.
That kind of stuff is top-tier leadership that isn't going to show up on the TV copy because it's not the rah-rah stuff that you see from like Tim Tebow or whatever on the sidelines. But it's going to show up like for a Xavier Weaver when he gets to the NFL and he's ready for that. And he's ready for NFL level expectations when it comes to how to run a route, where to be, how to make yourself a big target for the quarterback when you're running a comeback or whatever it may be. That type of stuff, Shedeur is as good as there can be. And then the last part that I'll mention is the lead by example when it comes to his dedication to his craft. Nobody can say he's not out there working. Nobody can say he's not doing everything he can to be the best possible player he can be for this football team. And to me, that over everything else is leadership when it comes to your quarterback or whoever you want your leader to be. Because guess what? If your quarterback is, you know, out on Friday night before a game at the frat parties, well, then every player thinks, okay, well, if he does it, I can do it.
Right.
If your quarterback is at home or he's watching film or he's working out with the guys in the indoor late at night, then everyone thinks, okay, I got to be more like him because that is the standard. And Shedeur actually is number one of anyone I've seen at the college level when it comes to that part.
Yep. I mean, you nailed it, man. There's many different leadership styles, and I think when people see different types of leaders, they automatically jump on it, right? Or they go, oh, I'm unfamiliar with this. Like, this isn't leadership then. This is, I think, a lot of what's happening. And to your point, Shedeur is obviously very dedicated. And one of the ways I think Shedeur leads the best is he knows exactly who he is. He's very confident and comfortable with who he is, and he lets that shine through. I went back and watched the RG3 podcast with him and Shiloh last night, and that comes through a lot.
Yeah.
Shedeur is very confident in who he is obviously. He's confident in his team, his teammates, and he kind of empowers them that way too. And when he's talking about NIL and all that stuff and how, RG3 asked him, like, how do you guys manage that being a leader on the team? Like, how do you balance that, with a guy who's maybe not making as much as someone like Shedeur, obviously, right? And he's saying, like, you just don't flaunt it. Don't be that guy. Like, don't, like, be bigger or, like, try to be Mr. Big because you have all this money, all this jewelry, all this stuff. Like, Shedeur in person is, like, actually really down to earth, really humble.
Super down to earth.
And that comes through when you get him in those settings like he was with RG3. When you actually sit down and talk to the man, that comes through. And he said it in that interview, like, I just invite the guys over. Like, I just want to be one of the guys. And that's what he does. And I think that's part of his leadership style. And that's why he's such a good leader and the best leader on this team.
Well, and you want to talk about, things that they've learned from Coach Prime. It's the show. Shedeur knows how to put on a show on Saturday afternoon or evening when he goes out there. And he's going to. He's going to throw up the watch. He's going to, talk some smack. That's why Colorado's one of the most watched, not the only reason, but one of the reasons why Colorado's one of the most watched teams ever, because he brings the show.
Yeah.
It's the same thing for Coach Prime, though. He knew how to bring the show. Both of them, when you see them in a situation that they're not having to do that, not having to be the entertainer, and they just get to be them.
Yeah.
You're totally nailed it with the word down to earth. And Shedeur, I think he totally gets this like bad rap of spoiled brat, this, that, and the other.
Yeah,
it's
rich
like,
kid. All this stuff, yeah.
It's like talk to him in real life. You realize, wow, he's actually like a really cool, nice, low key dude.
Yep.
And I love that he puts on the show. I don't think that's a problem at all.
When you're as good as he is, why not?
Yeah.
How do you think his NIL valuation got to where it is? Because he puts on a show.
Exactly. Hit that like button, by the way. Shout out Atlanta. Stay focused and informed.
Appreciate you guys in the Toyota chat. Hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. Also, subscribe to the podcast feed wherever you're listening. Or if you're on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast feed. And leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. One last shout out before we get to questions here. We are having a tailgate on Saturday. What?
Super chat.
We are having a tailgate on Saturday. As you kind of hinted at, there's going to be a little bit of a surprise showing up.
Yep.
And Saucy Southern's going to be there.
What more do you need than that?
I mean, Saucy's is elite barbecue.
Yeah, you will get your the ticket to entry. It was worth it just to come get some saucies, but also you get to hang out with us. I'll be there nice and early. I felt like last time I got a chance to talk to everyone, but even more of an emphasis this week to make sure. So, once you're there, please don't hesitate. If you want to take a picture or whatever, like, let's do it. Let's have some beers. Let's talk ball. Let's have a good time and eat some Saucy Southern. It's perfect.
Yep. Same.
Maybe also bring a bib, though, because it is a whiteout.
Yep.
And Saucy Southern and white clothing might not go together as well as you would hope.
Yep.
Actually, last time I went to Saucy's, I was wearing white shorts and I got barbecue sauce on them.
It's barbecue done the right way, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So come hang out with us. It's going to be a ton of fun on Saturday.
Yep. And I think both of us have tweeted out the link if you're looking for it. But we'll also drop it in the description.
And it's on the Buffs account, too, on Twitter. So check that out. To the Toyota chat we go. What do we got today? What's up, Ricky? Why has no one talked about the fact that Nebraska has 4 straight home games to start the season? That's an incredible advantage for any team. CU doesn't have back-to-back home games all season.
That's just scheduling, man.
Yeah, it's just the draw. I mean, Colorado opened with what? Their first 2 of 3 were home games last year?
Yeah.
So, and it's just part of out-of-conference scheduling and all that stuff, too. So.
Well, and again, it's the out-of-conference is up to you.
Right.
So, thankfully, we got out of it. With going 1-1, but scheduling back-to-back road rivalry games was nasty work.
Yeah.
That being said, you can, if you want, you could schedule all of your non-conference games as home games every year.
Yep.
Well, that's clearly what Nebraska did, and then they get their first conference game at home.
Yep.
You just got to pay. So quickly, you can you have pay to play games like North Dakota State. I think we paid them like $1 million to come down to Boulder.
Right.
You don't have to return that. The exchange was money for the game.
Mm-hmm.
The other style is home and home. So that's why we had Nebraska at home last year, and then we're on the road with Nebraska this year.
Same with the Rocky Mountain Showdown.
Same with the Rocky Mountain Showdown, which used to be a neutral site, which I almost think is better for CU than to go home and home with them. But I guess we're now 24-7-1 in Fort Collins.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to be going fine.
Yep.
But if you just want to pay UTEP to come in and play you every year, you can do that, and then you never have to schedule a home and home. If you want cool games like Nebraska or like next year with Georgia Tech, then you got to trade.
Exactly. Moni asked, will they really throw much if it is raining? I'm
Yes.
kind of with Coach Prime, though. Wait and see on the weather. It's Colorado, man.
Yeah, I think for the meteorologists in town
They're
are
having a
saying it's
moment.
personal now.
Yeah.
I'm still with Coach Prime on my iPhone forecast, which I guess is no Chris Bianchi, but I'm still seeing 25% chance of rain. That's a 75% chance of not rain,
Yep.
as Coach would say, but we'll see what happens. I'm just joking with the meteorologists, but I truly don't think it'll affect the way that Colorado approaches the game plan.
You got to be you, man.
Yep.
You got to be you.
And go watch any weather game with the Chiefs. It actually drives me insane. It's not that they get better when it snows, but they're better when it snows. They're even better when it snows than they are when it's not, in terms of the gap between them and their opponents.
Right.
Patrick Mahomes doesn't change at all.
Yeah,
somehow.
he levels up.
He somehow doesn't affect him whatsoever. Drives me insane, especially for a guy from Texas. What the hell?
Yep.
Who created this person? But I think it's one of those things where it's just like, if you do you just have to do it better than what they're doing.
Yep. And as we've seen, it can only take a handful of passes, and all of a sudden, CU's got 3 touchdowns on the board.
Yeah.
So. Matthew says, check your DM, Jake. I've donated my 2 UCF tickets to the pod since they are probably switching kickoff to a night game. Awesome.
Yeah. I would be willing to bet heavily that if CU wins this weekend, they will get a nighttime slot.
That's what it's looking like, right?
Because UCF doesn't play,
Yeah.
which is kind of annoying. But they have a bye week this week. And so they're clearly, what they're waiting on here is how will CU do. If CU's 3-1 and UCF is 3-0, they're going to put that game in primetime.
Yep. Ivan, how are we feeling about the running game? Will we get the second 100-yard rushing game under Coach Prime? Over under 100 rushing yards this week.
You guys might hate this, but I'll take the under. Baylor's been really tested against the run game this year, and they've actually been pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think the way to succeed against them is once again going to be in the passing game. But I do think that there will still be a bigger commitment to running the ball. I think they'll get close to that number. But in the end, I think they sling it around more.
Air Force had 193 net rushing yards on 56 attempts. That's 3.4 yards per carry. Utah had 170 net rushing yards on 37 rushing attempts. That's 4.6. So,
Utah did a good job.
Yeah, they've been playing the run pretty well. I will take the under as well. Trevor, Baylor's reports have said that they have a top secondary in the conference and that they would be able to match up well with our receivers. Do you see that in the games you watched? No.
They haven't been tested whatsoever.
No. And Cam Rising was kind of making some nice throws.
He was dicing them. Yeah, that is box score scouting. And I'm not even saying that they're not good. We just don't know yet. What I do know is that Colorado's receiving core is elite.
Yes.
And they have an elite quarterback.
Yep.
Something that they have not had to face yet is they haven't had to go against anything like Colorado. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is a term that anyone's ever used, but the term that came to my mind is like schedule shock. Like, all of a sudden, you've got to do something that you haven't had to do at all season.
Yeah.
You got kind of used to just going out there and stopping the run. Now you're going to have to do something completely different.
Yep. I mean, you had the stat. They've only faced, 49 passing attempts so far this year?
46. Colorado threw it 49 times last week.
Yeah. We'll find out on Saturday. Where'd you get your shirt?
Man, I saw a lot of love for the shirt. Appreciate it.
That is sweet.
I hate to say it, but this is just a vintage find. I think I got this at ThriftCon, which is like they take over a big convention center.
Yeah.
Over in Rhino, kind of, and just thousands of vintage T-shirts in there. So I always buy anything that's one, black, and two, if it has the real gold on there, that's an instant cop for me.
How long have you had that?
2 years.
Oh, okay. To Super Chats. Our guy, East Coast Kev, once again. Great show as always. Feel our O-line has the horses to stop their run game. I heard... Oh, the D-line has the horses to stop their run game. I heard the block bully is coming back. Is there any truth to that? I do not know yet.
Don't know, but based on what we heard last week, which is that he was close to playing,
Yep.
It feels good.
Yep. Again, East Coast Kev, appreciate you, man. Says Paul Feinbald was spewing more of his bull junk about Shedeur's sportsmanship. Colorado just can't catch a break. Do they get tired of just like talking nonsense? I was down there eating lunch earlier today, and they're talking like 10 minutes about whether Coach Prime is right in telling reporters that they're just upset that players are earning more. It's like, what are we doing?
I think that's what he
man?
was on about today. Weirdly, I think Paul Feinbaum
He defended
Shedeur for
Yes,
not shaking
yes.
hands. Then he's going on today about Coach Prime saying, like, you guys are jealous of the players because they make more money than you or whatever now. Which that didn't even register for me when he said it. Like that, oh, this is going to go viral. It's like they're just picking through it now.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Yeah. And then he's like telling Stephen A. he should give back his college degree. That was crazy.
Those shows bring me no value. There's no value there. I can't imagine just sitting there watching that for like an hour straight.
Well, it's so crazy just how little like background they have.
Little background. They don't really talk ball either.
And they just like admit in those situations, like, I don't have the background here, but I'm like, what are we doing?
It's insane, dude. Baron says, homecoming king Shedeur, queen Alyssa. Congrats, Alyssa.
Yes.
Don Peasy. Great show like usual. Do you think all the manufactured hate from the media might result in reduction of votes for 2 and 12 for postseason awards? Maybe. It definitely affected some preseason stuff.
I'm a little worried about this because I've seen it happen before with Nikola Jokic.
Right.
Where this narrative comes out that he's stat pads.
Yeah.
And then it hit his MVP. I think that's the year that he didn't win the MVP was the year that this whole narrative of him stat padding came out, which is funny because that's not what he does at all.
Yeah.
But I do think that come the end of the year when we're doing Heisman debates, someone is going to try to use that against them.
Of course.
You know, on that show that you're just
That's not Heisman worthy.
Yeah, exactly. Like you want why do I care that Travis had 100 yards in every game when they forced it to him against Colorado State when the game was already over? Like, so I actually, if I'm being completely honest, am worried about that playing a role in the conversation.
Yeah. We know the truth. A few more to get through. I am Coach Eddie says, did y'all talk about the Kahlil Benson hit on the defensive end when Travis caught the touchdown? Wow. Yeah,
I think we did.
He leveled some guy. And you could hear that thing.
That's my favorite part is I clipped it from Bucky's video.
Yep.
And, I mean, you hear that bang.
Yeah, and Bucky's in the corner, the back corner of the end zone, basically where Travis caught the football.
Yeah, so what, like 35 yards away from it?
I don't think is that far, but it was like at least 20-some.
Well, think about it. The throw, I think, was 25 yards plus the end zone. He's like 40 yards away from when that happened.
Max says, RK Jake, what's the story on Coach Gary Barnett? I heard him on an interview and sounded like a hater, but yet he has the color on the Colorado radio broadcast. I don't know.
I haven't heard any of this stuff, so I don't know. I will say, like, he's a old school smash mouth football coach.
Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he disagrees with some of the things, like throwing the ball up late.
Right.
And I have no idea if that's even what you're talking about, but I could just see that sort of thing unfolding. But I haven't heard any content that involved him because I don't hear the radio broadcasts.
Yeah. That is it.
All right.
Tomorrow's show will be a little later than usual.
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. And you guys will eventually know why. But yeah, expect a later show tomorrow.
Scott will be back tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Then pregame on Friday. We'll update you tomorrow when pregame is. But yeah, if you see us tomorrow, you didn't see us.
If you see us, you didn't see us.
See you guys tomorrow. Let's go Buffs.
Let's go.
All city like the mayor.